Hi everyone. In this introductory presentation about the incremental update operation, I will present the basic purpose and capabilities of this powerful option of uniPaaS, as well as how to implement it in an online program. To illustrate the main purpose of this capability, I have two programs. The first program basically enables the creation of details, where for each details I have a value, like 10 on the first line, 20 on the second line. What we would want to add to this program is the capability to show a running total as the user is entering and maintaining quantities in that detail program. The details with totals over here shows such capability. Now if I create lines with quantities, as I leave each line, a running total is updated. The creation of lines simply adds my quantity on top. But furthermore, the deletion of a line, for example, will reduce the quantity. So if I delete this line over here from my current total of 60, I will be left with 50. Or if I come back on an existing line and I change this 20 from 20 to 10, I need to affect only the difference between the original and the final quantity, leaving a total of 40. So there are additional logic implications into maintaining such running totals, and this is what the incremental update is all about. Before showing how to implement the incremental update in a program, we will discuss in a little bit more details the logical implication behind such mechanism. So we're going to ask ourselves the question, what happens when the user is creating a new detail line? Basically, we need to add to the total the quantity of that line. Now, if the user is deleting an existing line, we will subtract the quantity of that line from the running total. And a little bit more sophisticated, when the user comes back on an existing detail line and he modifies a quantity, we need to be able to subtract the original quantity when he came in and add the final quantity as when he left the row. This is a more systematic, sophisticated way to say that basically you're adding the difference between the final and the original quantity. Now this logic, though it's a little complicated, is based on something that is very constant, which is the essence of what needs to be accumulated, which in this case is the quantity of the detail. It might be complicated, but it's very systematic and very complete. Notice also that except for the quantity, it's based on elements that the uniPaaS engine is aware at all time. For example, what is the current mode? Is it create mode, deletion mode, modification mode? And therefore the engine is capable of applying the right addition or subtraction based on the case at hand, provided that he knows what needs to be summarized. Back to the uniPaaS Studio, we're going to copy the details program over and apply the modification that will make it behave like we saw with the details with total program. So we change the name of the program, we zoom in, and we first add a virtual, which is going to sustain the total. We're going to make it a numeric 6, which is one more than the quantity itself, because a total can potentially be greater than the quantities. And we're going to go to the form and we're going to show our just added virtual underneath here, and we're going to change the total not to be parkable. And that takes care of the fact that we have a variable that we display on the form. Now we're going to go to the logic editor, and we're going to add, Control H, a level, which is a record suffix level, which executes after the interaction of the user with any row, and update what variable? Well, the total. We want to maintain our total with what is the essence of what needs to be accumulated. It's the quantity. That quantity is this quantity over here of our detail lines. But if we leave it like this, it's simply going to update the total with the latest quantity found on every detail each time the user leaves a row. We want to implement the mechanics that we discussed. For this, we come to the incremental property and simply modify that property to yes. This calls for the engine to implement all the logic that was discussed when we described the summarization mechanic. At this point, I am done. As I create lines with the quantity automatically adds itself to the total. (40 plus 30 plus 10 is 80. If I come back and I delete this line, here I'm left with a total of 70. And if I modify this total to 25, which means 5 less than 30 originally, I will get 5 less on my total, going from 70 to 65. Hoping this presentation helped you understand the essence of the pre-built mechanics and associated capability of the incremental update feature of uniPaaS. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Sylvain Raymond from Informa Plus Solutions and Consulting.